On your knees, Joseph. Joseph, right? I charge you to do all of that and to arise Ser Joseph, a knight of the Seven Kingdoms.
Woohoo!
Welcome.
Welcome to the main stage here at the Javits Center, home of New York Comic Con. This very space is where all of the magic happens all weekend long. We are bringing you so many great panels and videos, some of them hosted by me, your video producer and host Ashley Victoria Robinson, and some of them hosted by a slew of amazing talent. If you want to be able to make sure that even though you're not with us or you're catching up at home, you see everything that happened this year in 2025, head over to thepopverse.com. We've got memberships, we've got so much access to all the coolest stuff. In the meantime, sit back and enjoy your feature panel presentation.
Welcome to New York Comic Con, Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
Thank you.
Is this a couple of first Comic Cons up here?
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow, what a way to kick it off. Welcome to the circus here. This is exciting. This is my 10th time at New York Comic Con. I love it here.
Very good.
It's awesome. I'm trying really hard not to have a panic attack right now.
You're doing great.
Thank you.
I'll give you a big hug, box breathing, you know, if you need to. George, I'm going to come to you first, my friend.
Oh dear. This is much bigger than the first New York City Comic Con I attended.
Which one was that?
That was 1964. That was the first one, and I was the first member. I paid my $1.50 and I got badge number 1.
Wow.
And there were about 30 people there selling old comic books, and fabulous Flo Steinberg was the major guest, but Steve Ditko showed up, so it was very exciting for me to meet Steve Ditko.
Well,
And I had a great conversation with him, but I think we must have frightened him because that was the last Comic-Con he ever attended.
well, if the writing thing doesn't work out, maybe you just sell that badge.
It could be, yeah.
Yeah,
it could
yeah. I mean, you've created now one of the most beloved fantasy worlds our generation has ever seen.
Woo!
What is it like to now see this new live-action adaptation of a new pocket of Westeros?
Well, it's been great. I went over a year ago to watch them shoot in Belfast, in Northern Ireland, and I spent a few days there. And they were having some jousts. They had a tug of war, and I got to meet the cast. Not only these two, but the rest of the cast too. It was pretty amazing, and it was all really cool. I mean, they had a whole somewhere north of Belfast in the wilds of Northern Ireland. They had the whole Ashford turning ground laid out with wonderful grounds and tents and jousting pavilions and things like that. It was. I felt like I was back there, and there's nothing like that to see something that's only existed in your head suddenly come to life.
Oh man, those sets just look incredible.
Yeah.
They look so cool. When you first imagined Ser Duncan and Egg, did you ever picture them on screen?
Actually not, no. I didn't picture any. I mean, I'd worked in television for like 10 years, from the mid-'80s to the mid-'90s, and at a certain point I said, I got to get back to books. And I'd done, in those 10 years I worked in television, everything I wrote was always too big and too expensive. So, you know, I did my job. I was on the writing staff. I would write a second draft or a third draft, and it would be cheaper and smaller and all that. But after a decade of that, when I went back and I started Game of Thrones, I said, the hell with that. I'm just going to write something as big as I can imagine, and no one will ever film it because it will be monstrously too big and too expensive. So I wrote
Thank God you did.
Game of Thrones. And then, to surprise me, that's the one that actually got made. And then Duncan and Egg came along a little later, a smaller thing for a series of anthologies that Robert Silverberg was editing. But that was a lot of fun too. I really loved I still look at the Hedge Knight. That's what our first thing is. There are 3 existing Duncan and Egg novellas, and the first one was the Hedge Knight. And you know, sometimes writing is a struggle, and sometimes it comes to you more easily than that. And the first Duncan and Egg, the Hedge Knight, came to me very, very quickly, and I loved it. At the time I finished, I said, this is one of the best things I've ever done, and I still feel that way. I still feel these stories are some of the best I've ever done, and Ira and his amazing team, I think, have done an amazing job of adapting them. And what you see is going to be very similar to what I wrote.
What you wrote, these characters, they really just jump off the page, and seeing them on the screen was awesome. I've seen a little bit of it. It's so cool.
Yes.
Peter, I'm going to come to you, man. What is the first step in becoming a knight, not within the Westeros world, but for you? What was it like for you to become Duncan? What was the first thing you felt like you had to really learn how to do to get this character down?
Horse ride.
Horse ride. Not a big horse rider before the show.
I had done a small bit. I had a brief stint on season 3 of Vikings Valhalla, if anybody's seen that. I played a very, very rotten Viking, but I got to get a sort of a baseline horse riding experience in on that. And then we worked in preparation for our show, this show. We worked with the Devil's Horsemen, who did all the horse work, and they were just amazing. And I got to a really, really good level of horse riding with that. But I suppose just everything, it was such obviously for such a massive role and a massive world to come into. You've got so many passionate fans, me included, to impress and do justice to. And the fact that we had such a good script that Ira translated, of course, and wrote this amazing script, and then the fact that George's, of course, iconic book, having both of those 2 things together to merge together and draw from all the time was a huge, huge help. And it really kept the crippling terror and anxiety away of, the first time when I got the role, it's a lot different to your experience. You had a great time. I was in the gym and at home in Galway, and I came out, and my agents, Morris, Amy, and Lisa, who I've been with from day dot, they do this thing where they'll group call if I get something, and I saw the group call and I knew what was coming, and I was like, and usually it's great, and then it happened, and I was like, oh, amazing, I can't believe it and stuff, and I went home and I sat on the couch and it was just silent, and then I slowly just slid off the couch and fell onto the rug and just curled up in a ball and just hyperventilated for an hour. And my girlfriend, Ali, came back, and she came in the door and she was like, oh my God, what the hell is wrong? What happened? And I was like, I got the role. So yeah, it was a lot of that to deal with, but it was great.
Dexter, what was your experience that sounded a little less chaotic?
So, it was definitely a little less chaotic. So, my agents, Andrew from Mark Drummond Management, they said, oh, we're just going to do like a little audition, self-tape kind of thing. And then they showed me these photos, and they said, there's something wrong with all these photos. And then I kept saying what was wrong with them. And then they got a picture of an egg. And then they said, you've got the job. And then I was like, what? No way. And then all my family rushed down, and my dog came, because she's a massive Game of Thrones fan. And it was a crazy moment. And then I realized I'm going to have to shave all my hair off. That was my next thought. And
You were looking forward to that, weren't you?
no, I was. I was really excited for that. And then the first thing I did is I had some scrambled eggs.
Seems ominous.
Yeah, it was an insane moment, and I'm really grateful for getting the job, and I'm grateful for the amazing story that George R. R. Martin wrote.
You're here.
How old are you, by the way?
I filmed it when I was 9, but right now I'm 11.
When I was 9, I couldn't remember what I was supposed to have for lunch, let alone
I know.
George R.R. Martin's words. Incredible work. Was there a moment for both of you when you got to set or saw a costume or just any moment where you were acting out a scene where it kind of set in like, oh, we're here. This is that world.
Remember when we went to like the first set? That was mental.
They built this literally the entirety of Ashford
It felt
town
like we were actually there, because
Yeah.
we were.
in Northern Ireland, in a place called Glenarm, that's more populated with wasps than people.
That was a big issue.
I think half the budget went on CGI and the wasps off my face out of the end.
Unfortunately, it seems that wasps like sugar blood,
Yeah.
which we covered several characters with for the duration of shooting. And yes, that was unfortunate.
But as for moments that go by, I think that was definitely, as you said, seeing Ashford Village was
That was
amazing.
amazing.
And then for me personally, I'm a huge fan of the illustrations done in the graphic novel as well. And when I saw the armor, Dunk's armor for the first time, it was like a carbon copy, pretty much 90% of what that was, and I was like, that's pretty badass. I'm not gonna look that bad in this, I think.
Ira, I would love to hear from you taking A Night of the Seven Kingdoms and bringing it to live action reality for all of us. Game of Thrones world has a bit of a timeline. Can you kind of just clarify for everybody who might not be familiar where we are, when we are, and why this is different from maybe Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon, which we all in this room probably also love very much?
Well, over the years, I've developed quite a lengthy history for Westeros and the Seven Kingdoms and also the rest of the world around them. I didn't know any of that stuff when I started. I just had this guy vision of finding a dead direwolf pup in the snow, and but it grows. It grows. I've often talked about the two kinds of writers: a gardener and the architect. An architect would have planned the whole thing ahead of time, but I've never been that. So I was actually writing another novel, and it came to me, and it grabbed hold of me, and I started writing it, and then this spun off. So. But there's something very exciting about that when it really does start to come alive and scenes come to you, characters come to you. They shove aside other characters and they don't forget about me. I'm important too. And this was a lot of fun. I've always loved medieval tournaments in other pictures. And of course, we had several tournaments in Game of Thrones. But although they were there in the background, they were not the center of it. I said, I want to do something that's entirely set during a tournament because I found tournaments were very exciting. And I set them a challenge, which I think Ira has, and his people have delivered by. You won't see it tonight, but you will later. I said, let's do the best jousting sequences that have been ever put on film. A modest little challenge for Ira and his crew. I think my favorite previous was 1952. Ivanhoe, MGM, Elizabeth Taylor, George Sanders, Robert Taylor. They don't have much jousting sequences, but what they have are really good. So that's the standard, but you guys will judge how well we did, but I think we did pretty well.
I've seen it. It's really good. It's really cool. Ira, no pressure, right? No.
Look, yes, setting the new standard, no pressure. Jousting was a lot of fun. We also did something hopefully no one's ever seen before, which is a jousting tournament at night, which is just looks badass. So I'm very excited for everybody to see that. But no, look, this story takes place between the two shows that everyone has seen and that everyone loves, in a time where Targaryens don't have their dragons anymore, that they've very much on the decline, finding themselves in this weird middle place of, okay, so the thing that we use to conquer this kingdom doesn't exist anymore. And everybody starts asking, you know, well, why are they still in charge? And so maybe they feel that they have to come to a tournament at Ashford Meadow in this backwater of a place that they probably wouldn't have done before, you know, to show face, to show up, to shake hands. And obviously that kicks off our story in a very interesting way, bringing them into a head-on collision with our young Ser Duncan here. I think the biggest thing about this show, finding its place, sandwiched between these two giants, was just tone for us. These novellas are they're so lovely and sweet, and they have so much hope, but they also have just really brutal elements of this world that I think we've all come to love in Westeros, where anything can happen. There is a level of unpredictability that, resonates with people because that's just how your life is. Following Dunk on this journey should be a very grounded, gritty, earthy, ground up sort of feel. We've never had this perspective before of somebody who grew up in the slums of King's Landing, as an orphan who came up in this world, didn't have a name, didn't have an inheritance, didn't have any money, doesn't have, the best training in the whole world, and he's just trying to make it. He's trying to go out and do something hard that he's never done before. He's out of his comfort zone, and hopefully a lot of that will resonate with a lot of our audience.
Peter, I feel like having that background that Dunk has, having some street cred instead of traditional night training, it's the sort of thing that might come in handy for that guy.
I think so, and I think fans of the book know what you're referring to for sure. I think there's a lot of, obviously he's trying to be the most respectable, honorable knight that he possibly can be, it's funny because he tries to sort of put away or extinguish that side of him that he wants to forget, that young boy in Flea Bottom just trying to survive and almost like half human, half dog, like roaming the streets. And I think he's constantly trying to extinguish that and forget about that, but it serves him to know that is who he is in certain situations towards the end of our story. And it serves him to have that personality, that never give up and never fight tooth and nail sort of characteristic. So I think he gets to sort of accept himself. It's one big violent therapy session, kind of. Yeah.
I've read the book. I've listened to the podcasts of people talking about this, the YouTube videos of people talking about this, and there's a lot of debate about what it requires to be a knight, whether it's a ceremony or a trait or a character. In your opinion, having become Ser Dunk the Tall, what does it take to make a knight?
That's a tough one. I think the beauty about the knights that Dunk looks up to and wants to emulate, that George has created, is there's in such a, I'm an enormous Lord of the Rings fan. I hope a lot of people are. And loads of different fantasies of that, but this world that George has created, there is a lot more sinister and adult themes that are presented, and a lot of treachery and backstabbing, and it's hard to find your way. And for a lot of people in this world, those things work off. They pay off. Did for Peter Baelish for a long time, and you know what I mean. And I think for somebody to have the actual knightly valor in that world is something to really, really look up to, especially in the world of Westeros. So I really adore Dunk's want and need to maintain the morals that knighthood has probably forgotten in Westeros through his journey in Ashford. So I think it takes a lot more to be a knight in Westeros than it does in Middle Earth, maybe. I don't know, is that a big? I don't know. But yeah, maybe that's it.
Do you know what you've just started?
I know. I'm going to have to get flown out of here.
Hurry up, out the back door. No, you did such a good job with this character, man, and just the complexities and the layers and the things he has to go through, man. From what I've seen so far, you do such a good job with it.
Thank you so much.
One of my favorite beats of this story is the first meeting between Duncan and Egg and Dexter. What was it like for you to create that meeting, and also the meeting for you two for the first time? How did you guys kind of establish the fun dynamic between these two awesome characters?
So, first of all, our bond was amazing the whole way through. We had such a great relationship, and that was actually the first scene we filmed together, and that was crazy. I was like, I'm now part of this amazing franchise, and it was so insane to like be in that and experience it. And yeah, do you want to add anything on else, Peter?
I zoned out there after my Middle Earth comment.
You can feel it.
What was the question? What was the question again? Sorry.
I don't remember.
I've never regretted saying something in my life so much. Sorry, go on. What was it? I thought it'd be cool.
The team in the back is like, what did he say?
Yeah.
No, it was just establishing the dynamic. How did you guys sort of build your relationship? Yes. And is Duncan and Egg's relationship in any way reflective of the relationship between Peter and Dexter?
I think definitely. Dexter mentioned, he started filming at the age of 9 and he's 11 now. And the concept that you're working with a 9-year-old is over within half an hour of a day on set, and you realize you're working with a 25-year-old in an 11-year-old's body. He's just incredibly mature, and I'm really in awe of, like, even looking back at who I was when I was 9, 10, and 11. I could not be able to come out here, do this, do the things that I've seen Dexter do, the performances that Dexter has done, and I do think Dunk looks up to Egg a lot and looks to him for guidance, and I find myself doing the exact same thing with Dexter, for sure.
Ira. Yeah. Ira, I'd love to hear your perspective on what you wanted to really bring out of that relationship.
Look, watching Dexter and Peter evolve on this show it's been a mirror of watching Duncan and Egg and their relationship grow. It's perfect. I mean, we've seen examples of this right here. We've seen basically the manifestation of Dunk's inner monologue.
Literally.
The anxieties that he carries forward, Dexter's just absolute excitement over everything that's new, wanting to go to a tournament, wanting to have some fun, wanting to be a kid, then very slowly realizing that he's made a decision that impacts others, and that in order to mature and to become an adult and to be a good squire in this world, that he has to think about other people and how his actions affect other people. The two of them have played off of each other so brilliantly. I mean, just even watching them, hearing about all the times you guys spent at the arcade, getting to know each other. You guys still have all those tickets, right?
We do. We're saving them up because
We're saving up.
Yeah.
What are you guys saving up for?
Like a PS5
there's
or
a
like
PS5 there. There's a couple of really cool. Do you know the way when you get like a couple of tickets, they give you like the real crap presents and stuff, but then you're like, there's no way you could get that many tickets, but we've been to the arcade like a kind of worryingly long amount of time. It was one of my, we were talking about it earlier on, one of my favorite ways was to decompress after set, because we had so much work to do, was to come back and kick Dexter's ass in Mario Kart.
I kept winning.
No. Don't change the subject,
Well, I got the most tickets, so.
Which
You
Mario
were looking
Kart
at my
was it?
back bumper, Princess Peach.
Which Mario Kart was it? Which edition? Is it like the arcade one?
It's the arcade
Oh,
one.
okay. You sit in and you have the whole thing?
But
Yeah.
I can never choose my character because you have to like.
You're using the
spin
steering wheel to use the character.
And then you try and move it, and you end up on like Peach, and when you want to go Bowser, and it's like, come on.
I know.
I hate when
I
that
put a pound
happens.
into this machine. At least give me what I want.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys had no fun working on this, huh?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Dreadful. Sounds terrible. I'm so no. It sounds like a lot of fun, guys. Ira, one thing I've noticed when I was reading this is that in the writing of George R.R. Martin, sometimes when there's like about to be a big action moment or a big intense action moment is happening, I feel like the details start really coming through there, almost as a way to not only set the scene, but make me have suspense to see where this goes. Like all of a sudden I'm learning about the mud and the way the blood feels or something like that. How do you capture action? Because sometimes you could take dialogue almost word for word and put it in the show, but action and the details might be a little different. How do you take what George wrote and then apply it to build that suspense and capture all of that?
Look, our guiding light on this show was to follow Dunk and let this character, in terms of tone and POV and the mud and the dirt, we want the audience to feel what he feels. We want to be with him as closely as possible. We want to, this isn't action sequences that are cut up very rapidly, to give some, it's not big, sprawling Game of Thrones that we've come to know and love. This is close, and this is intimate, and this is brutal, and this is hard. This is what it would have been like for Dunk to be facing this. And we had some incredible, our stunt coordinator and our second unit director, and our director of this major fight sequence, Owen Harris, just got right in there with all of our cameras, making sure, and we kept flooding this field with mud and dirt and shit and just everything that we, and obviously we had the sugar blood, so we had the wasps constantly on attack, just annoying all of our fighters. So it was real, the pain, the agony, the irritation, the closeness even of your mask being on you, of the breathing, how difficult that is as soon as you put on a helmet. It changes the way that you can breathe, and all of a sudden your heart starts going. We are going to feel every little bit of that. We are the gritty, ground-up version of this world.
Oh, man. All right, I got a sort of wish fulfillment question here that I think will hopefully be fun for everybody. And George, I'm going to come to you first. If you could pluck a character from either of the other two shows,
Right.
and just get to see them live in this part of the story, who would you like to see?
In this part of the story.
Yeah, if you had to pluck one from Thrones or Dragon.
Oh, well, that's a tough one. Of course, one of the key things about this era is there are no dragons. The dragons are all dead as a result of what we're seeing in House of the Dragon and subsequently. So any character with the dragon coming into this era would send ripples through the entire civilization of Westeros. I have I have my favorites in all of the shows, and I think Duncan and Egg are two of the favorites. But it would be fun to have some of the other great knights from Westerosi history who are referred to. And I think Jaime Lannister would like entering tournaments, winning some of them, fighting some of them. Tyrion would just bet on them, and come out winners or losers. But I don't know. A lot of different characters. I'll have to mull this one. Yeah. But I'm very glad that we have the focus we have here.
Oh yeah.
One of the things when you're writing a book or a short story is the question of point of view. Are you going to have an omniscient point of view? Or are you going to have a large cast of characters? In Game of Thrones, I think I began with 7 point of view characters that I switched between, but then I kept adding some. Maybe I would like to go back in time and slap that guy around a little and you had enough characters, you don't need. But anyway, we switched between the viewpoints. But when I began this, I said, no, I want to have a tight focus on a single point of view. Everything we see should be through the eyes of Dunk. And that was something to discuss when we were developing it. Do we want Do we want to keep with that? And I was strongly in favor of keeping with that. Or do we want to switch between other characters and show what's being said behind other scenes? When I wrote the third of the 3 novellas, I said, maybe I should switch between Dunk and Egg and have half of it Egg sections, half of Dunk. Different views on the same point, but it didn't quite work. So I went back to just showing it all through Dunk's viewpoint, and that gives you a particular flavor to these that I like. I think there are some things that are going on that the reader is going to figure out before Dunk figures it out. What's going on, and I think that's good. Egg may figure out these things ahead of Dunk a little. I don't know. But, yeah, I'd love the relationship between the two of these.
Well, I'll open it up to anybody else if they have a fantasy crossover.
I've been thinking. I love because we were asked as well about Dunk's possibility of victory against other knights and stuff. But away from all that, I can't get the thought of Tyrion Lannister out of my head in Ashford Meadow. That would be hilarious. And just Dunk's interaction with Tyrion would be great. And
Tyrion would be so drunk at that tourney.
I know.
Yeah, great.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be cool. All right, so we wanted to get some fan questions for the panel. So we went to the most reasonable, peaceful place, the internet. And this first one is for George. This comes from @AnneEleanorArtist. George, what do you like most about the story of Dunk and Egg?
I like the humanity of it. I like that, yes, there are a lot of Targaryens in it. There are a lot of knights and lords representing the other great houses of Westeros. That's all there. But, you know, all the way back when Game of Thrones first came out, which was thousands of years ago, mostly it got good reviews, which I'm pleased to say. We got a few bad reviews. But one of the things that one of the people said was that here it is, another fantasy, and we get to hear more about kings and lords and kings of lords. Nobody ever writes about the common people, the small folk, as I call them. And that resonated with me. I mean, believe it or not, occasionally we do listen to some of the critics if they know what they're talking about. Yeah, that is true. And especially, you know, I don't want to shock anyone, but I am not actually a lord. And I'm not even a knight. There was Sir George Martin, and he ran the Beatles, and he died a few years ago, but they knighted him. He was Sir George Martin, and when he died, a lot of people thought I was dead, which was a bit disconcerting. I had to put out, no, I'm not dead, and also I'm not a knight. And I'll never be a knight because I'm not British. But what I am is from Bayonne, New Jersey, which is right across the right across the water. And my father was a longshoreman. He worked on the docks. And my mother worked for Maidenform. They had a factory there in Bayonne. She was an inspector on the line. And I lived in the projects, and I went to public school. So I'm the farthest thing from a lord that you can do. So it seemed to me that writing a story that was really centered around the experience of the small folk. Yeah. Not you. You can't be small. Well, you are small, but you're not. You're not a small folk. You'll always be a Targaryen, and you have that royal blood in you. But he is definitely a small folk.
Pause.
I'm not sure. I don't know. That's...
We're going to get to the next question.
He is small. When we were casting, our big debate is, well, do we want to cast a short guy? Because Dunk is 6'11", and he's not. But we had bigger people, but Peter was so great, and his readings were so great. All right, we'll cast a short guy.
Peter, how tall are you?
6'6".
God. All right, stay
6'7" and 6'7" at times as well, depending on gravity.
There you go. Ser Dunk the Tall indeed. All right, this next question is for Ira. It comes from @AnderBookshelf. This is also from Instagram. With the show following more on the common folk and less powerful individuals, how does that shift of focus affect how you approach storytelling?
So, again, everything was Dunk focused, Dunk forward. Honestly, this affected everything from our music to the cameras and the lenses that we shot on, to our costume, to everything that we put into this show was about what the grittiness of this world. Everything had to feel simple and unpolished. You know, obviously Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon are so gorgeous and so beautiful and so sprawling and epic, you know, and especially in our musical choices, you know, we went quite small and simple and almost whimsical. There's yes, you know, this is a story, you know, about Duncan and Egg, about a knight and a squire, but in a lot of ways, these are still two kids going on this journey trying to make something better of themselves, you know, so there needed to be that adolescent feeling to the approach of the show where you're not a finished product yet. You're still learning, you're still adapting, you know. I think, I hope people enjoy that. I hope people forgive us for the level of unpolished that we exhibit in this show. You know, it is intentional and it is inherent into these characters. And we think it gives a nice, cool, new vibe to Westeros while still delivering what people, you know and love about this world.
All right. We've got our next question here. I think this is a double feature question. This is for Dexter, from Ash Aya on Facebook. What was the most fun part of filming?
Ooh, my most fun part of filming, well, it was a scene which was the tug of war scene, and this scene was so fun. The first thing is, no one was listening to the stunt coordinators, and we were doing a real game of tug of war. Like, it was so funny. But I was at the front, and it was all mud, and if you fell in, then if your team lost, then you had to go in the mud, whatever. And I was at the front, and our team was losing. So I was heading into the mud. So I put my legs over the rope and just dangled. And then the poor person behind me had to have all my weight and was like, ah! And then we won eventually. And Peter threw me in the air, Dunk threw me in the air, caught me, and then one time he threw me in the air, and my eye hit his nose. And then everyone was like, no, what happened? And then that's the day that George R. R. Martin is here. So yeah, that was... You
had to meet him with a swollen eye, didn't you?
Yeah.
I thought the tug of war looked like fun.
Yeah, that was really fun.
That's what they were filming the first time I showed up on set there, a tug of war. And everybody seemed to be having a lot of fun with that one.
Yeah.
That
was so much fun. It was great crack. And real mud provided by the Northern Irish weather as well.
Also, I thought the scenes inside the tents of the other lords and knights that Dunk, drops in on and helps himself to the meat and the mead, and the scenes with you'll meet him soon enough, but the guy who's playing the Laughing Storm is just incredible, and those scenes with in the tent are amazing.
That was really fun. This next one, Dexter, this is for you too. This is from X. I'll always call it Twitter. But it's from @Viceuner. How do you like your eggs?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, there's two types. So, boiled for 8 minutes. It has to be 8 minutes. If it's any more, I don't like them. If it's any less, I don't like them. 8 minutes. Has to be. And I also love scrambled eggs. but only by my grandma. She makes the best scrambled eggs.
There you go. Round of applause for Grandma. Yeah. All right, we've got our last fan question here. This one is from @Arkham, but with a 4. 4 where the A goes. For Peter, were you familiar with this story before signing on, or is there a scene in the novella that you're particularly excited to do this season?
First of all, great name. Definitely, for sure. That's right up my street. Yeah, so familiar with the story. I was this huge Game of Thrones TV fan, obviously the original series. I had heard of obviously Joffrey references to Ser Duncan the Tall at a couple of times through the series, and he just pops up in places. So I'd always kind of heard it in the background, and then obviously when the casting call went out, when I got the first tape to do, I went looking at this guy, and I was like, I think I'm not trying to. It's very easy to do a tape and let it out into the ether, because I find it quite hard to build things up, because I immediately just start panicking. But I was looking at the illustrations and stuff, and I was like, this is the first time since I started acting where this guy actually kind of looks like me. Do you know what I mean? I could actually do this justice. So yeah, I had heard little bits, and obviously A Night of the Seven Kingdoms is the first but not last of George's books that I'm going to read. And I fell in love immediately with The Hedge Knight. It's just such a brilliant story. And I kind of had to speed read it in the auditioning process. And then when I got the role and got over all my panic attacks we were talking about, so I got to sit and really absorb it. And I just was like, this is just the most perfectly. It just runs so smoothly as you read along, and I enjoy it. It was like one of those times. I used to always think when people are like, oh, I couldn't put a book down. I was like, what does that feel like? I mean, reading 20 pages is like, I'm like, yes, unreal, PlayStation. But it was like one of those, and that was the second time I felt that. It was The Hedge Knight. The first time was 1984, George Orwell. But yeah, this was the same feeling. I was like, I couldn't put this down, and just beautifully written. And yeah, I suppose that was my kind of introduction into it. And the scene in the novella that I did in the season, kind of, I suppose I can't really spoil, but it was a scene on horseback where I had a hell of a lot of things to say, and we had done that in the first audition process, and I remember just going, this is like the true monologue of Dunk, like trying to implore people to do whatever. And I felt like when that came around, I was quite nervous. And when we got it finished, when we called cut and got it done, and we had got everything finished, I probably wasn't allowed to, but I like took off on the horse and went around. I was like, took out my sword, and I was like, it's so cringy actually talking about it now, but I was like, yes, it did it. So that was like probably my favorite thing.
You earned it, dude. As one of probably like, I don't know, very few people who's even seen it, I know the scene you're talking about.
Yeah,
Dude,
it was good.
incredible work.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
All right, we're about to do something with the fans in the room here. I'm gonna need a few brave souls, but truly, only if you're like an expert. You gotta know your stuff on this one. So if you think you fit the bill on really knowing things like the Knight's Oath, just start mentally preparing for what I'm about to ask for with a couple volunteers. And while you guys mentally get ready for that, I have one last question for everybody up here. Which episode are you most excited for everybody to see when the show comes out, when it's all said and done?
Episode 6, because then you will have watched the entire show.
Well played, sir. Well played.
I would have said 5, but I think 4 is the one that hits hardest for me. It's going to be great. Yeah.
3. I love 3.
Yeah.
It's my favorite.
Yeah.
You'll see why. You'll see why.
I know.
Well, I'm kind of prejudiced, but Episode 5 is very potent because that's the big action episode. That is the. I hope I don't spoil anything for anyone, but those of you who've read the story or read the comic book will know there's a trial of 7, and that was a matter of concern. I mean, having a duel between the hero and the villain, or even showing the hero going into a battle against hundreds of people. A lot of people have done this before. But having 7 people versus another 7 people, all with their own distinct personalities and heraldry, and having all that going on at the same time is very challenging. How to do it, and I think the way they settled to do it, was superb. It's the best way to do it. I wasn't necessarily convinced when it started, but yes, it worked very well. That being said, I'm even more impressed with the final episode of the show, episode 6, because the battle is over by then, and the big twist has been revealed, and this is sort of a epilogue episode. It's like the scouring of the Shire, which you notice did not make Lord of the Rings. And I was like, how the hell are they going to do episode 6, which is the aftermath and people dealing with the emotional resonance of what happened in episode 5. And again, it was really good. All my worries were relieved, and I really liked what you guys did in episode 6, showing the emotional resonance and setting things up for the future of these characters and what effects the battle had on them. Because we see a lot of fights in action films, thrillers, medieval fantasies, things like that. A lot of effects, but a lot of people don't treat what happens after. And what happens after, obviously I didn't live in the Middle Ages, I've never been in a battle like that, but I do know people who served in war, who served in Vietnam, not myself, but I had close friends, and they still talk 20 years later about their friend who was in the platoon with them and got killed. And when they think of him, what happened all those years later, or things that they did or saw, it has powerful effects, and I like the fact that we're getting into that. And that being said, I love the whole 6 episodes, and I think it's great. I hope you guys will love it too, and that we'll be able to do The Sworn Sword, which is the next one. And
please. Need you to start filming yesterday, guys. All right.
Can I just before you do this, can I just clarify that The Lord of the Rings is the greatest trilogy ever made?
Yeah. What did Lord of the Rings do to you guys?
No, film trilogy of all time. Just before people take me out of context. Greatest film trilogy of all time. I watch it every weekend.
All right, this is going to feel really cool for me. May I have my squire deliver my sword, please, to the stage? Oh, thank you, squire. Okay. If you think you know the words to the knight's oath, you only get one try at this. We're going to try a few. You are ready to go. We're going to get 3 people. You're in, my friend. I need 2 more. Okay, you're up. I see you and up in the front. Okay. You guys were in the front row. Come on. How do they get up here? I don't know. Maybe we come that way. Go meet her. Look at this. I'm waving a sword around. Like, go that way. All right. George, will you join me in this?
Will I what?
Will you join me in this?
Sure.
I think it would be pretty cool to knight somebody who really knows their knight stuff. Yeah. All right. So what we're going to do, these 3 self-proclaimed experts. Woo! What's your name, man?
My name is Joseph.
Joseph. All right. Well, let's get all 3 at the same time here. Joseph, where are you from, man?
From Texas.
Are you freaking out because you're on stage with George R.R. Martin?
Yes, thank you for everything.
What's your name?
Catherine.
Catherine, nice to meet you. And what's your name?
Shannon.
Shannon. All right. Here we go. Catherine, Shannon, George. No, he's George. What was Joseph. Joseph, Catherine, Shannon. Okay. All right. Do you know the knight's oath?
Yes.
Okay. There's a microphone. I'm going to give you the stage. Please give it a shot.
In the name of the warrior, I charge you to be brave. In the name of the father, I charge you to be just. In the name of the mother, I charge you to defend the innocent. Arise, Joseph, a knight of the 7 kingdoms.
Oh, wow.
Close.
I got goosebumps there.
Well,
That was
you left out the maiden and protect all women, but hey, the ones you did were good. Should we?
I think he should get knighted. I think.
Knighthood, yes.
Yes.
On your knees, Joseph. Joseph, right? I charge you to do all of that and to arise Ser Joseph, a knight of the 7 kingdoms.
Woohoo!
Welcome.
All right. Give it a go.
In the name of the warrior, I charge you to be brave. In the name of the father, I charge you to be just. In the name of the mother, I charge you to protect the innocent and the young. And in the name of the maiden, I charge you to protect all maidens.
All women, but yeah. Hey, close enough.
Thank you.
And you are
Catherine.
Catherine. Now, would you like to be Sir Catherine, or would you like to be the female name, Lady Catherine, or something like that?
May I be sir?
Be a sir? Certainly.
It's good enough for Brienne.
Not in the books yet, but hey, yes, Sir Catherine, is it? I W Sir Catherine, a knight of the 7 kingdoms. Where in particular are you from?
New York.
A knight of New York City. Hey.
No pressure.
None.
You got this.
All right. In the name of the warrior, I charge you to be brave. In the name of the father, I charge you to be just. In the name of the mother, I charge you to protect the innocent. And in the name of the maiden, I charge you to protect all maidens.
Great. And you are?
Shannon.
What?
Shannon.
Shannon.
Yes.
Okay, very Irish.
Yes.
Lady or sir?
Lady, please.
I dub thee Lady Shannon of
St. Louis.
St. Louis. Oh, okay, very good. Well, rise. St. Louis needs protection. And
Thank you.
guard it very well.
Thank you.
Give it up for our 3 knights. Thank you, you legends. All right.
I used to actually dub a lot of the members of the fan group of the Without Banners, which was formed way back in 2011. And I would go to conventions, and we would go out usually in the middle of the night. The first one, we were at a Worldcon in Philadelphia. So we went for cheesesteaks at 3 in the morning. And the people who joined me on this thing to Pat's King of Steaks to get 3 in the morning cheesesteaks, I dubbed knights. There were about 10 of them or something like that. But then it became anything that happens in fandom twice, it's a tradition for all time. So I wound up having to do that every year. And the group got bigger and bigger and bigger. And like a decade later, we're at a convention in, it was Reno. And I'm saying, I didn't go out to the restaurants anymore, but I found 24-hour places. And I would send them out, and they would come back with food for the party. And I'm saying, I've dubbed like 200 people here at Reno. Every time I turn around, another burger is arriving. It was fun, but the tradition ended there. But there were 10 years of knights coming forward, and I'll still meet. There's probably some of you here. Right? Any knights of the cheesesteak here? Any knights of the old roast beef here? We had a number. The knight of the pink hot dog from L.A. Yeah. Here you go. I'll give you your sword back.
Well, thank you so much, George.
Woohoo!
And eventually, knighting people will fall to you because you will be a lord and a prince and
Perhaps.
all of that stuff. That is,
Perhaps. All right.
if you live long enough.
Big if in that world, guys. Ira, Peter, Dexter, George, thank you so much for coming to New York
you very
Comic Con.
much.
New York,
Thank
give it up.
you.
The Night of the Seven Kingdoms coming soon to HBO Max.